Why did you choose to make the app invite only?
So most social platforms have been built thanks to peer recommendations. So at some point, all those platforms became saturated, and in order to reach your people, your customers, your friends, your family, it became increasingly difficult to reach out to them, and so you have now to be extremely sensational, or you have to buy sponsoring, advertising.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to build New Life in the opposite direction, in the sense that instead of asking people to bring their users and then asking them to pay to reach out to them, we thought why not offering an incentive system where people who invite friends and followers and customers and all of that into this new social platform will benefit from the economic outcomes. So
Right.
we have a revenue redistribution mechanism, and so by tracking all the network effects that have been built around the initial acquisition of users, we want to reward the people who participated the first and who were basically the most active at adding value to this community.
Yeah. And have you got a good response from that sort of model compared to, like Twitter, Instagram, what they all use?
Yes, so today what we have noticed is that the users don't really care about the incentive, because also it's a big it's in construction still. We don't have the whole wheel of like redistributing the
Yeah.
revenue, but people are much more excited by the vision, the culture, the community that is there. So they kind of care a bit about gaining more new power by inviting other users, but we are not at the point where it's a revenue model for them and they are expecting economic incentive. So yeah, so basically that's the situation right now.
Right. And when are you planning on introducing the revenue part? Is that something you're building up to in the near future, or do you think it'll take a
Yes,
while?
so it's a question that has multiple variables that
Yeah.
are all evolving at the same time. So the first one is the revenue that the platform generates. So we are going to introduce a couple of economic models where we will redistribute some of the value to the community.
Yeah.
And so this, for now, we didn't start charging anyone anything, so we don't have much to redistribute. So that's the first variable. So we need to increase the amount of, let's say, economic activity on the platform. The second, and so for that, we are going to launch a marketplace where people will be able to sell their like real life products, let's say.
Right. Okay.
And so out of this, we will have a fee that will be taken and redistributed completely to the community. And yeah, so then it will become more interesting. At the same time, we need to connect with a lot of crypto exchanges. So platforms where you can trade your new coin for any other cryptocurrency or your local currency. So our goal was to create an economic system where all those microtransactions between the users can be accessible to anyone in the world, even people without bank accounts, because
Oh, wow.
still a lot of people don't have bank accounts around the world. So we wanted to rely on blockchain for that.
Right.
And so all those things are building up while we are talking. So in the coming months, years, the new coin will be much more liquid and accessible to more marketplaces. And so, and at the same time, the interest for the platform will also increase. So it's maybe not the ideal for the users to try to sell their rewards right now, but they
Yeah.
might just want to keep them. But again, it's not their main motivation anyway. So I think it's going to come as a surprise when they will find out that, oh, on top of it, I'm now earning some like revenue out of this.
Yeah. So it'd just be like an added bonus rather than the reason why they use it. I
Exactly.
see. Nice. Are you concerned that people are sort of tweeting out their invite links on Twitter rather than sort of keeping it a bit more exclusive, or is this kind of what you wanted when you envisioned it?
Well, if the people who spread their invite codes are trusted by the people who will use them, somehow there is a connection. And
Right.
so somehow, like the invite code works very well, and we can scale up a lot of users and still rely on this to ensure that it's organic. It has to be
Yeah.
organic. We don't want to go and buy ads everywhere and do this like classic launch of startup or websites. We have built this dynamic that is very grassroots, and people are and it's expanding, and so we have big diversity of people coming now, which is great.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we are not worried about it spreading too much.
Okay. Are you worried that people who aren't creatives, like fashion designers, just normal people are using it, or is that okay too? Is it, you know?
Well, I believe there are three kinds of skills for creative people. The first one is creator, so it's people who produce art, music, fashion, and so on. Then you have the curators who are very good at selecting and at connecting dots between different cultural components.
Right.
And those are not necessarily the best creators. It's like it's hard to be both at the same time. Some people are perfectly balanced, which is great, but you have those kind of people who don't produce, they just vote and they just get inspiration, and they love the content, they come for the content and the community.
Oh, okay. So you've got a nice mix of both, and it kind of works out for the platform.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, of course, like it's not a social platform where you want to share like your life instant, where you just go walk your dog or go to a coffee with your friends. It's more about posting something creative which is why also the platform is timeless, as you might notice. Posts can just pop out even weeks or months after being posted. So yeah, it's really about connecting cultures and forming clusters of taste, let's say, within the AI. And so that doesn't work the same way as classic social media, which tries to be very instantaneous.
I've been using the app actually for the past couple of days, and it's really cool how it starts to learn what you like and then shows you more of it. The AI bit is really cool. Yeah,
so right now the thing is we don't have enough content to really express the power of the technology. So it's pretty frustrating. Like we have, I don't know, tens of thousands of content in the last few weeks, but we need millions of contents to really create an algorithm that will be, because now at some point everyone kind of see the same things, and it's normal because we are just starting.
Right, so you plan to expand, and then hopefully it'll get even more curated, and I see.
Exactly.
So why did you hide any engagement from the community, like not showing likes? So say like when you go on Instagram, you'll look at a post and it will say so and so like this and 1,000 others or whatever. You don't do that, and why is that?
So the first reason is we don't want to influence people when they vote, because it's like based on the intensity of the press on the screen. So if you look at a picture or a video and you are influenced by how many people liked it before you, it kind of creates a bias, and so we want to remove that and let people vote freely. It's also for fairness, because when you vote, you are supposed to not know what is the average or what is the opinion of others. You have to guess it by yourself. That's how you prove that you are human. Okay. And so we want the game to be fair, and so that's another way. Then we found out that it's also pleasant for people, and that was not our initial purpose, to not feel the pressure of having not enough like to impress their friends and their network. So it's also a bonus that we just found out that now on top of it, people feel more safe to post and without this fear to be judged or to not receive enough likes.
So there's been a lot of news recently that other social media platforms are kind of going to follow this model where they don't show any engagement. Do you think it'll work for them, or do you think it's sort of just something that works for your platform?
Well, I think the reason why they are doing this is to find a compromise between selling targeted ads, which don't really make sense anymore, and those influencer models where people are creating businesses where they just create like 10 profiles with some models, and they buy millions of bots to grow their numbers, and then they sell campaigns to advertisers and all that. So I think like social platforms want to find a compromise and enter in the business of working with influencers, and so hiding the numbers and offering them a way to privately share with advertisers the clout and the amount of views and so on is very strategic for them. So I think that's the main reason.
Okay, so you think everyone's eventually gonna sort of go to this model to make it better for the user?
Yes, and for to have a real business reality where they will have to use professional tools in order to interact with advertisers.
Right.
And so because they will be at the intersection of advertisers and influencers, they will be able to offer their solutions and create some more organic, let's say, connection between advertisers and influencers. But with New Life, we really want to get out of this concept of influencers that are basically billboards for any brand who would pay them.
Yeah.
And we are trying to focus on a more organic way of recommending what you like. So instead of having this like public, let's say this public scrutiny where you feel that everyone is judging you and you are trying to fit in and all of that, you just anonymously vote for what you really like.
Yeah.
And so those inputs are very authentic, very genuine. It's almost neuroscience when you think about. You don't even need to think. You just intuitively tap with your finger, and at some point you forget that you are actually voting or trying to earn rewards or whatever. You are just in this flow of expressing what you like or not.
Yeah.
And this very genuine feedback is going to be much more pure than any other, advertiser model where they are just forced to do it, and you can feel they don't like necessarily the products, but they do it because they need to eat.
Yeah.
We want to incentivize people for pushing what they love, because what they love is going to be also distributed through the platform, and so all the value is like captured and stays within the community. So
right.
It's a very different approach. We go against this concept of industrialism where you have disciplines and people are put in a box like this is a company that does this and your role is that, and you cannot go out of those labels and those titles and all of that. We are really focusing on the community, the aesthetics, the taste, the values, the culture, all of that, and all those people are coming together and they just genuinely like stuff, and over time it creates value, and this value is shared with the community, and so it just will attract everything that is creatively relevant with the invite codes.
Right, okay. And you mentioned influencers there and like paid content and stuff. Is that the reason you haven't included in-app shopping features in your app? Because obviously every other platform has it, really. Or is
so you mean the in-app shopping for people to sell products, or the in-app purchase, like the memberships and
sort of paid content? So say if an influencer posts a picture of their outfit, they'll tag the brand, or they'll say, here's the link to my discount code or whatever. You don't have any of that, because obviously you don't have descriptions.
So this will be introduced over time, but it will have to go through the same process of curation, meaning that to get a seller account, it won't be open to anyone. It will be available to people who have shown a track record of similarity with the community, and we have this model called New Power. So the let's say the score of your activity, because it's presented as a video game. So the New Power that you earn with this video game, you just get more rights on the platform, and one of those rights is the right to sell products. So we will still have this selling and this all those concepts that exist in the current world, but the difference is that the curation process will be completely genuine and managed by the community.
So it's kind of like leveling up in a video game. You unlock something else. You unlock this. You unlock that. That's a cool idea.
Exactly. And it's like in life, the more skills you have and the more power you are given in your field. So if you are a very good film director, you are more likely to be given a bigger budget to make your films. So
yeah, okay,
it works a bit the same way.
I just have one question. People are calling your app the new Instagram, but obviously there is an Instagram. So what incentives do you think there are for people to make the switch to your app over from like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter?
I think it's a challenge to call ourselves a social, to call ourselves for what we really are. So we had to find some place to start. It's like the iPhone. When the iPhone was introduced, the iPhone is everything but a phone. It's GPS, it's internet browser, video game console. It's a lot of things with all those apps. And one of those thousands of things you can do is a phone. But they still called it a phone because that was the entry to helping people understand. So we chose to call New Life a social network, but it's just an entry to something that is much more disruptive, which is the aesthetics economy, where we are forming this giant brain of interconnected curators who vote for contents. And this platform is creating a new asset that has never existed before. So you have those social networks who capitalize on connections between people. You have search engines that are based on keywords and have this like big asset of connecting keywords with web pages. And so with New Life, what we are creating is a completely new type of value system that might, in my opinion, be much bigger than the existing tech giants. And this can be done only if the platform is owned by the community, because we are entering a time where all those tech giants are becoming hard to compete with. And so I don't believe a small startup can take this role of reorganizing the economy through aesthetics and replacing marketing with design. I don't believe a small company can do that, but I believe a big network of determined creators who are just having fun and have this incentive system that drives them into more revenue and all that, like a seamless flow of revenue. I think this has the power to make an impact. And so at the end of the day, that's our main interest.